Welcome. I'm Sebastian Mahfoud, and you're listening to WCAT Radio, the on-air wing of En Route Books and Media, bringing you the dulcet sounds of Catholic wisdom.
My dear listeners, welcome to the 7th episode of Discovering Sacred Christian Art. And today I will speak about the churches in Rome, in particular the Renaissance churches in Rome. As you remember, in the episode number 6, we spoke about the churches in Rome with a general introduction, and I listed the several churches in Rome, starting from the first churches, and I listed also the papal basilicas. And I am proceeding with a historical method, following the historical line. So for this reason, I am dedicating this episode to the Renaissance churches in Rome, and the next episode will be dedicated to the Baroque-style churches in Rome. The Renaissance churches in Rome are 4. If you are in front of your computer or in front of a tablet, a smartphone, please search for each of the 4 names that I will indicate you of these churches. Anyway, thanks to our Dr. Sebastian Mahfoud, we will have images uploaded in the page dedicated of the website of WCAT Radio, dedicated to discovering sacred Christian art. The first of the 4 Renaissance churches in Rome is the Church of Santa Maria del Popolo, Saint Mary of the People. I apologize, but at this point I want to open a bracket because I want to indicate you why only 4 Renaissance churches in Rome? Because you may know that with the Baroque and in the field of the Baroque style, many churches in Rome were fixed, were redone according to the Baroque style. And only these 4 churches survived with a Renaissance style. Let's back to Santa Maria del Popolo, Saint Mary of the People. This marvelous church was built on the site where the Emperor Nero died and was buried. The church was erected under Pope Sixtus IV, and Martin Luther stayed in the Augustinian cloister of this church, related to this church, during his stay in Italy in his early years. This church contains masterpieces by Bernini and by Caravaggio, and is not a simple church. This is a basilica. The Basilica of Santa Maria del Popolo is located in Piazza del Popolo, People Square, Piazza del Popolo. Now, if you can try to search for it, you can arrive in Piazza del Popolo directly from the very center of Rome, or from the other side if you are in another area of Rome, the area of Villa Borghese. From Piazza del Popolo, the church Santa Maria del Popolo takes its name because it's next to the Porta del Popolo. It's the door, one of the doors of the city, the entrance of the ancient city. In Latin, the word populus means people, but also popular. This church houses numerous works of art and funeral monuments, dating back especially between the 15th century, when the Renaissance was at highest point, and 19th century. Some burials are particularly famous, such as those of the Chigi Chapel, that is one of the most famous part of this church. The Chigi Chapel is the singular funeral monument designed by the architect Giovanni Battista Gislini, and the other is the Cerasi Chapel. But in particular, I would like to talk about the Chigi Chapel. Chigi is an Italian surname. The Chigi Chapel is the second chapel of the left aisle of the Basilica Santa Maria del Popolo in Rome, and is a famous treasure chest of the masterpieces. And Raphael, Bernini worked there. The chapel was commissioned by Agostino Chigi, a papal banker from Siena, commissioned a new chapel for Raphael, the artist, for his own family, the Chigi family. And he chose Raphael as artist, as designer, because Raphael had already worked for him in the famous Villa Farnesina. Raphael designed the central plan architecture and took care of the cartoons for the mosaics of the dome of the Chigi Chapel. The work was started in 1513 by Lorenzetto and completed by Bernini only in 1652. For the Cardinal Fabio Chigi, that was a member of the family and who later became Pope with the name of Pope Alexander VII. The altar of the Chigi Chapel shows the famous birth of the Virgin by the artists Sebastiano del Piombo and Francesco Salviati. The birth of the Virgin is painted in oil on blocks of pecorino with a bronze bas-relief of the painter Lorenzetto, entitled Jesus and the Samaritan Woman. All around in this chapel are the tombs of the members of the Chigi family, alternating with niches with the sculptures. And in niches at the pillars we can find Habakkuk and the Angel by Bernini of the 17th century, Iona coming out of the whale by Lorenzetto, it's of the 16th century, Daniel and the Lion by Bernini, 17th century, and Elia by Lorenzetto, the prophet Elia, completed by Raphael from Montelupo in 16th century. On the walls are the tombs of Agostino Chigi, the banker that commissioned the wall chapel, and his brother Sigismondo Chigi. Pyramid-shaped is, and it's a symbol of the eternity. These tombs were designed by Raphael, but then modified by Bernini in the marble medallions. And this is all what concerns the Chigi Chapel. I hope that you can visit this marvelous church, Santa Maria del Popolo, and inside the Chigi Chapel. The second of the four Renaissance churches in Rome, the second is the church dedicated to Saint Augustine. This church is located between Piazza Navona and the Pantheon. And it has a splendid Renaissance facade, miraculously escaped from the Baroque tampering. Under the high altar is located the tomb of St. Augustine's mother, Santa Monica, who died in Ostia, and Ostia is a few kilometers from Rome. And there is a fresco attributed to Raphael of the famous Madonna of the Pilgrims, Madonna dei Pellegrini, by Caravaggio, Michelangelo Merisi from Caravaggio. This Church of St. Augustine is one of the first Roman churches built in the Renaissance, and it houses the Madonna di Loreto, also called Madonna dei Pellegrini, Madonna of the Pilgrims. That is one of the best-known masterpieces of Caravaggio, who personally donated the work to the church as a to thank for the kindergarten. The painter Caravaggio was very close to this church. The third Renaissance church is the famous Church of Saint Louis of the French. As you know, one of the patrons of France is Saint Louis IX. This is the national church of the French in Rome, inaugurated in the 16th century in 1589. And this church hosts 3 famous paintings by Caravaggio, among which the famous Vocation of San Matteo. The Renaissance facade was designed by the famous Giacomo della Porta. The French community of Rome already owned a small chapel near Sant'Andrea della Valle. At the end of the 15th century, the French community of Rome commuted this chapel near Sant'Andrea della Valle with other possessions of the Abbey of Farfa in Rome to build a new and more special national church, that is Saint Louis of the French. The works were carried out by the famous Domenico Fontana on projects by the famous Giacomo della Porta, and thanks to the munificence of Caterina de' Medici, the queen, from 1518 until 1589, the church was built and consecrated in 1589, on the 8th of October. The church of Saint Louis of the French, in Italian San Luigi dei Francesi, is consecrated to the Virgin Mary, to Saint Dionigi di Areopagita, and to the King Saint Louis IX. But this church is known above all with the latter name, Saint Louis. From the beginning of its construction, it was erected as a parish for the French residents of the city. And it is also the home to the cardinal title of Saint Louis of the French. The church, from an artistic point of view, is a pure exaltation of France and of the French culture through the representation of his saints and his greatest historical figures. For example, on the facade, there are the statues of Charlemagne, of Saint Louis IX, of course, the patron of the church, of Saint Clotilde, of Saint Joan of Valois. Inside, there are frescoes with the apotheosis of Saint Louis and Saint Dionysius, the Areopagite, and the story of the life of King Clovis. The fourth and last Renaissance church in Rome is the Church of Saint Mary of the Angels and of the Martyrs. This church, Saint Mary of the Angels and of the Martyrs, Santa Maria degli Angeli e dei Martiri, was integrated by Michelangelo in the ruins of the death of Diocletian, the emperor, which are located in Piazza della Repubblica. This is the reason why this church has such a particular form, because it's a church built on the ruins of the bath of Diocletian. The church was adapted to the Baroque style. The transept is longer than the nave. The solar clock in the church is remarkable. It contains a vast group of 17th, 18th century altar pieces from the Basilica of St. Peter's in Vatican. It is the church where the official ceremonies of the Italian state are held. The transept is placed in the ancient Frigidarium, is a Latin term indicating a part of the bust of the Emperor Diocletian. Later, after various renovations by Michelangelo and by another famous architect, Jacopo del Duca, and by another architect, very famous, Vanvitelli, because each of the three artists respected the original structure of the Roman construction, including the original dimensions of the frigidarium of the bust of the Emperor Diocletian. The height of the cross walls is 29 meters, and the columns, including the base of the capital and the trabeation, reach 17 meters, while the circumference is 5.10 meters and the diameter is 1.6 meters. The walls are adorned with pilasters, and the pilaster painted to imitate the red marble of Cottanello, a famous kind of marble, with framed frames in which there are 8 original paintings from the Basilica of St. Peter, and placed on site in the first half of the 18th century. The light of the transept is guaranteed in such a dark atmosphere through windows in the access arches to the side chapels, plus other large windows on the side in the shape of a crescent. On these half moons, the painter Niccolo Ricciolini represented prophets, sibyls, and leaders. Only the existing windows on the access arches to the vestibule and the presbytery already existing in the time of Vanvitelli, and they are different from the others. In fact, they consist of moldings with double volutes. I hope that you can visit these 4 churches when you are in Rome, my dear listeners. Let me repeat the name of these 4 churches. Santa Maria del Popolo, Saint Mary of the People, the first, Saint Augustine, Sant Agostino the second, Saint Louis of the French, San Luigi dei Francesi, that is the third, and the last and fourth, Santa Maria degli Angeli e dei Martiri, Saint Mary of the Angels and of the Martyrs. These are the 4 important Renaissance churches of the city of Rome. In the next episode 8, which I will keep on Thursday, the 13th of December, I will speak to you about the Baroque churches of Rome. Please feel free to contact me if you have any doubt or question or curiosity at my email address mferri@holyapostles.edu. I wish you a great day and a great evening. Thanks for your attention, my dear listeners, and see you in the episode number 8. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed the program and will join us back for another show on WCAT Radio. This is Sebastian Mahfood. Good day.